Billionaire accuses Black Maid of theft, but what he finds in the safe shuts everyone up. Los Angeles, 7:43 a.m. Executive floor of Whitmore Tech. White marble floor. Panoramic city view. The cold aroma of imported coffee mixed with the silence of fear. Naomi, 34 years old, dark-skinned, navy blue uniform neatly pressed, knees slightly worn by routine, was finishing polishing the top floor's meeting table. Hair tied in a low bun, earbuds playing a soft gospel song. She cleaned what no one noticed and heard everything no one dared to say. Suddenly, the metallic sound of a folder hitting the table. "Naomi, take out the earbuds," said Charlotte, Brandon's personal assistant. Cold, platinum blonde, high heels and a scornful stare. "We need to talk now. Before we go on, drop a comment below letting me know where you're watching from. I love seeing how far these stories reach. And if you're enjoying this one and love stories about love, resilience, and emotional twists, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me keep bringing more stories like this and helps the channel grow. There's a new video every day around here, always with stories that touch, inspire, and make you truly feel something. So stick around. The next one might hit even harder than this. Brandon walked into the room in silence. Custom-tailored suit, rigid posture, icy stare. With him, 2 security guards and an assistant from legal. Naomi took off her earbuds. The music stopped. The room froze. "We have a delicate situation," Brandon began, getting straight to the point. "Confidential documents have gone missing from the room next door. And also, personal jewelry that was in the office safe." Naomi's eyes widened. "Mr. Whitmore, I've never entered that room. I've never touched. I haven't accused you. Yet," he interrupted coldly. "But everyone here has a contract, a family, a reputation. And you?" He stepped closer. "You're the only one here. With nothing to lose." Silence. Charlotte stepped forward with a venomous smile. "Open your bag, Naomi, of your own free will, of course." Naomi hesitated. She felt her heart racing. Her eyes searched for support from someone. No one. The hallway was crowded, but everyone looked down. She opened her bag. Just a prayer. Book, a lunchbox with rice and beans, an old access badge, and a keychain with her mother's photo. Charlotte went through it all as if looking for an excuse. "It's not here," Charlotte muttered. Brandon crossed his arms. "Even so, you're suspended until further notice. Hand over your badge." "But this is unfair," she burst out for the first time. 5 years cleaning this company and never a minute late. "Never." "Exactly," Brandon said, leaning against the table. "Someone who knows the ins and outs of the house. Knows where to hide the dirt." Naomi took off her badge with trembling hands. The cold metal felt like it burned. Behind her, employees gathered, discreetly filming with their phones. Some laughed, others pretended not to see. As she left the room, she locked eyes with Julian Torres, company legal advisor. Brown-skinned, simple suit, uneasy look. He tried to say something but stayed silent. In the elevator, Naomi broke down, but didn't cry. The pain was too old for tears. At the ground floor, passing by the front desk, a security guard handed her a manila envelope from HR. Inside, the suspension notice and a warning: your access to the building will be revoked within 24 hours. For security reasons, your payroll-linked bank account has been temporarily frozen. Outside the company, Naomi sat at the bus stop, took out her old, cracked phone, opened a folder of old files. Among them, an aged letter with the company's crest. She whispered, "If it's war he wants..." Then he's about to find out who I really am. Cut to Brandon staring intensely at the security camera. In the background, an old safe, untouched for years. Interior of Whitmore Tech. Internal meeting auditorium. 10:07 a.m. Glass-walled room, ergonomic leather chairs, LED panel in the back. In the center, a rectangular table with 10 seats, all occupied. Opposite the entrance, Brandon Whitmore stood. Cold, motionless, Naomi Clarke, standing before everyone, still held the crumpled manila envelope in her hand. Behind her, 2 security guards posted like shadows. The silence in the room was razor sharp. Only the hum of the air conditioning and the click of Charlotte's pen tapping the table could be heard, pure disdain. Brandon cleared his throat. Before we begin, I want to make it clear that this meeting is confidential and authorized by the legal department. Naomi said nothing. She just gripped her bag strap tightly, as if holding on to her dignity. Brandon slid a black folder across the table. In the past 45 days, 3 confidential physical files have gone missing. And 2 days ago, personal jewelry vanished from the safe in my office. He turned, staring directly at Naomi. All the hallway cameras were down for maintenance, except one. In the service elevator. It shows you, Naomi, alone with a cleaning cart. Exactly at 9:14 p.m. She replied with a firm but shaky voice. Because that's my shift. I work that time. I always have. Charlotte scoffed. How convenient, on the exact day it disappears. She stood up, heels clicking on the wooden floor. You've always been so righteous, Naomi, but we all know how these stories end. What stories, Charlotte? Naomi stepped forward, eyes teary but unwavering. Stories of black women accused of being in the wrong place at the wrong time, cleaning up the messes of people with too much money and too little respect. The room froze. Brandon raised his hand. Enough, he stepped closer. You may defend yourself. But at this moment, I'm formally requesting that you empty your bag. Here, now. In front of everyone, Naomi hesitated. The world spun slowly. One employee, an intern, looked ashamed. Charlotte's gaze was triumphant, Brandon's unshaken. With trembling hands, she opened her bag on the table. One by one, the items. A small Bible with a handwritten note from her mother. A worn-out blue pen, an almost empty wallet, a folded handkerchief smelling of lavender, an old childhood photo, no company documents, no jewelry. Brandon said nothing for a few seconds. Then, as if nothing had been disproven, he slowly said, You are officially terminated from Whitmore Tech. HR will handle the paperwork. You ... Have no proof, Naomi whispered. And still you destroyed me. Charlotte leaned toward her with a sarcastic smile. You should have thought about that before getting too close to what doesn't belong to you. Company hallway. Minutes later, Naomi walked the hallway like her feet were stuck to the ground. Co-workers peeked from half-closed doors, but no one said a word. Julian from legal passed by her. Tried to speak, but hesitated. His eyes said, I know this is wrong. But his mouth stayed shut. Naomi clutched her badge one last time and handed it to the receptionist. As she turned her back, Brandon watched everything from the glass balcony above, like a silent judge atop his empire of glass and steel. Inside Naomi's room that night in her modest apartment in Inglewood, Naomi sat on the edge of her bed. The city lights filtered through the blinds. On the bedspread lay the same letter she saw at the end of part 1. She opened it, read it, and for the first time, she smiled. At the bottom of the envelope, a code SAFEBWT01A. Next to it, a handwritten note, If one day they try to erase you, open this, because not everything that's yours is in plain sight. Naomi grabbed an old laptop and typed the code into the search bar. An old image of the company safe popped up. She froze. There, in a note from the 1990s, appeared a signature. Jonathan Whitmore, Brandon's father, Los Angeles, cold night, 2:12 a.m., Naomi's apartment. The light from the monitor lit up her face. The muffled sound of the keyboard filled the silence. Naomi zoomed in on the safe's image on the Public Business Patent Registry site. The code was there. So was the signature, Jonathan Whitmore, founder of Whitmore Tech and Brandon's father. She took a deep breath. For the first time since the humiliation, her eyes weren't teary. They were sharp. She picked up her phone, unlocked the cracked screen, and sent an email with just 3 words: time to open. The next morning, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. The hashtag Justice for Naomi explodes. Someone from the meeting posted a hidden video. Black janitor accused publicly by billionaire CEO without evidence. The video went viral. Naomi, standing, surrounded by security, her bag being opened, her proud gaze even in humiliation. The caption, "If this happens to her, imagine how many more." Whitmore Tech Company Cafeteria. 12:34 p.m., voices murmuring. The tension is thick. Admin staff whisper among themselves. "Did you see the video?" "She didn't take anything." "This is gonna blow up in Brandon's face." In the cleaning department, Darlene, a janitor in her 50s, black, eyes tired from years of injustice, stepped up. "If Naomi went down, any one of us could be next. I'm not cleaning a building that treats us like thieves." She dropped the rag, removed her badge, and said loudly, "I'm not going to the executive floor today." 2 other employees did the same. In HR, the young intern from the video, Ethan, 23, white, idealistic, posted an anonymous note on the company's internal forums. Whitmore Tech needs to take a stand, or it'll drown in its own silence. Julian Torres' apartment to 6:12 p.m. Dining table covered in papers, legal codes, post-it notes. Julian watched Naomi's video for the 10th time. Something about her posture, her calm in the face of aggression, bothered him. He murmured, "She knows more than she said." Julian began reviewing the company's old records. Contracts, donations, names omitted from archived files. Something didn't add up. In the digitized folders, he found a name erased from a charitable foundation of Brandon's father, dated 1999. Next to it, the name Clarke. He froze. Clarke, like Naomi Clarke? He grabbed his phone, called voicemail. Outside Whitmore Tech headquarters, next morning, 7:45 a.m., gates surrounded by signs, protesters, and TV cameras. Signs in hand, "Dignity can't be fired." "Whitmore, how long will this go on?" "She cleaned up their mess. Now she's punished for it?" Darlene held a sign tight. Beside her, a young Latina who worked in the cafeteria. "She taught me how to speak English without laughing at my accent," she said emotionally. "She's not just a janitor. She's resistance." On the other side of the office's tinted glass, Charlotte watched the crowd with disdain. These loudmouths will get tired soon. Viral today, forgotten tomorrow. But Brandon said nothing. He watched the video on his tablet silently. For the first time, he seemed shaken. Naomi at her mother's house, who has advanced Alzheimer's. Working-class neighborhood. Simple walls, altar with candles and fresh flowers. Naomi changed. The flower water. Her mother watched her, not recognizing her, but smiling. She held her mother's hand and said, "Don't worry, Mom. The truth is coming out of the safe, with or without permission." She opened her bag. Inside, an old Whitmore Tech badge. But it wasn't hers. It belonged to the founder. Naomi took the badge and an old vault key wrapped in cloth. She whispered, "It's time. Night in Inglewood." Inside Naomi's bedroom, warm lamplight. The house silent, except for the faint sound of the TV in her mother's room. Naomi opens a wooden box under the wardrobe. She pulls out an old binder lined with floral paper. Her fingers touch the pages gently, like someone holding pieces of herself. She sits on the floor, back against the wall, and starts flipping through. Report cards, college photos, acceptance letters from USC School of Law, University of Southern California. And then a crumpled form with the word "canceled" written in red. She closes her eyes. Flashback to 10 years earlier, public hospital. Gray hallway, smell of disinfectant, fluorescent lights slicing through darkness. Naomi, 24, wearing a college uniform, tears in her eyes, holds her mother's hand on a stretcher. The doctor, serious, delivers the diagnosis: early onset Alzheimer's, progressive. Mrs. Clarke will need constant care. She asks, "If I drop out of school, can she get a state plan?" He replies regretfully, "It's the only viable option." Back to present, Naomi's bedroom. She holds the marked-up letter in her hands. Silent tears fall. From the bottom of the box, she pulls out an old envelope sealed with a golden crest. The old Whitmore Tech crest. Inside, a sheet of letterhead. The ink slightly faded. She reads aloud, "Young Naomi Clarke demonstrated honor, courage, and empathy by saving lives during the fire at our community project. As the founder of Whitmore Tech, I hereby state that every door in this company must always remain open to her. More than an act of gratitude, this is a moral duty." Jonathan Whitmore. Naomi closes her eyes. Her entire body trembles. She whispers, "He knew who I was. And his son wants to erase me." Julian tore his office late at night. Julian connects the dots. The charitable fund from the 90s. The name Clarke, the letter he heard rumors Naomi mentioned. He searches the company's internal legal database. A file appears, Restricted Donation Agreement Code, J Legacy 1997. He tries to open it. Blocked. He takes a deep breath. Only the CEO has access. Inside Naomi's house, simple kitchen, light on, cracked glass of fresh water. She hands the glass to her mother. Her mother smiles with distant but sweet eyes. "Mom, do you remember the fire? When I got you out of the community daycare and went back to help the others?" Her mother doesn't respond, but rests her hand over hers. Naomi begins to cry softly. "I gave everything up, Mom, but I never regretted it." She stands, takes the vault key, the same old one wrapped in cloth from the previous part, and looks firmly into the mirror. Now she's no longer the janitor. She's the woman who carries the truth in her blood and in these papers. She calls Julian. "I need someone with me to open the vault." On the other end, Julian hesitates. "Are you sure? You want to go up against Brandon like this?" She replies, her voice steady. "It's not for me. It's for everything they tried to erase." And now, it's coming to light. Julian opens a filing cabinet and pulls out a digitized copy of the founder's signature. He compares it with Naomi's letter. They're identical. Inside Whitmore Tech Central Executive Room, Friday, 8:42 a.m., cloudy sky. The city of Los Angeles wakes up with tension in the air. The glass walls shake with the noise outside. Protesters have been demonstrating outside the headquarters for 3 days straight. Hashtags like #Justice for Naomi and #Whitmore Exposed dominate news sites and TV headlines. Brandon enters the building surrounded by security, hardened face, tired eyes. He no longer controls the narrative, and he knows it. On the reception desk, that morning's newspaper, Billionaire refuses to open vault that may prove black employees' innocence. Boardroom minutes later. Julian is there, standing, badge on his chest beside him. Naomi, wearing dark jeans, a plain white shirt, and a gray coat. Upright posture. Calm gaze yet burning. Brandon walks in, closes the door. He looks at Naomi for 2 seconds, then looks away. Julian speaks first. The vault in the executive room, code BWT number 01A, was installed in 1995. Last recorded use, 2007. Since then, only you have had access, Brandon. The CEO sits slowly. And you really think this whole circus is going to change anything? Naomi steps forward, places Brandon's father's letter on the table. Jonathan Whitmore. Signed and dated. The silence is heavy. Brandon holds the paper. Reads it. Instantly recognizes the handwriting. This is real? It is, says Naomi, and it's about to be confirmed. Brandon's private office, 10 minutes later. The vault is built into the wall behind an LED display screen. Concrete walls. Italian fiber carpet. A faint smell of leather and bitter coffee in the air. Brandon types in the old code. Nothing. Tries again. Error. Julian steps closer. There's a manual sequence. Behind the panel. Only the founder used it. Brandon sighs. Pulls the panel aside. Behind it, an analog lock. Old. Naomi. Hands him the key wrapped in cloth, the same one she found in part 3. He hesitates. His fingers touch the cold metal. He turns it. Clack. The safe opens. Silence fills the room. Inside the safe, documents organized with yellow labels, some folders worn by time. A gold envelope, sealed with old wax, rests at the center. Beside it, a small navy blue velvet box. Brandon picks up the envelope, his hands trembling. Naomi watches without blinking. He breaks the seal. If you're reading this, it means justice has been ignored in my absence. Young Naomi Clarke saved my life, literally. In gratitude and recognition, I leave in her name -5% of Class B shares of Whitmore Tech, a lifetime appointment to the company's ethics board and to all who tried to humiliate her. No. This, the future of Whitmore Tech, begins with truth. Jonathan Whitmore Julian steps back, shocked. Brandon doesn't say a word. He just sits down. Disoriented, Naomi holds the letter in her hands. Her eyes filled with tears, but she doesn't cry. Not from weakness, but from relief, from justice. Charlotte barges in without knocking. Brandon, the press is in the lobby. She sees Naomi, sees the open safe, sees the letter. Goes pale. Silence. Naomi stares at her. For the first time, as an equal. Now, you clean up your own mess. Brandon gets a notification on his phone. Emergency board meeting. Subject: shareholding control change, Clarke shares. Brandon Whitmore's private office, 9:58 a.m. Sunlight pouring through the wide windows, but inside, a heavy silence reigns. The safe is wide open. Documents on the table. A new truth on the edge of revelation. Naomi is still standing. Her hands holding the freshly opened envelope, the paper slightly yellowed. Brandon, sitting at the table, remains still, like the ground beneath him is disappearing. Julian breaks the silence. This changes everything, Brandon. Brandon doesn't respond. His eyes are fixed on the back of the safe, where a second letter lies, handwritten in firm, elegant script. He picks it up carefully, unfolds it, and reads aloud, voice a mix of shock and shame. Brandon, my son, if you're reading this, it means the world had to be reminded of our debt. Naomi Clarke is not just a promise. She's part of what saved our family, literally. At 17, she pulled 3 children from the burning building at the Whitmore Foundation. When I went back to help, she pulled me out seconds before the structure collapsed. Don't let her skin color or humble background blind you. I recorded it with the board. If Naomi ever sets foot in this company, she must be treated as family. She is the future you still can't see. Jonathan Whitmore's silence fills the room. The paper trembles in Brandon's hands. He is pale. Naomi slowly steps forward. You didn't know me. And still you condemned me, humiliated me in front of everyone. Just because it was easy. Brandon lifts his eyes. For the first time. Fragile. I had no idea. I just saw risk. And he stops. The CEO of Whitmore Tech can't finish the sentence. And you saw the color of my skin, Naomi completes. No anger, no yelling, just truth. Julian in the background plugs in a USB, loads the screen. Project sealed board records, transfer of 5% preferred shares. Holder, Naomi Clarke condition, initiation of professional role at Whitmore Tech validity, lifetime. Brandon leans back in his chair. My father never told me any. Of this, Julian, serious, replies, maybe because he knew you weren't man enough yet to understand it. Charlotte appears at the door, rattled. The shareholders are calling. The press wants a statement. The board's meeting in an hour. Naomi takes a deep breath, her gaze steady. Then they're going to hear from me too. Outside the company. Protests continue, now with national news cameras and influencers live streaming. Darlene, the oldest cleaning employee, holds her phone and says, eyes filled with tears, she never had to prove anything to me. But now the whole world knows. What I always did. Naomi was always greatness. Brandon stands, faces Naomi. You want the board seat? It's yours, by right, but do you really want to be part of all this after what we did to you? Naomi answers without hesitation. I'm not going to be part of it. I'm going to change it. Julian gets a notification on his phone. He reads it, pale. Brandon. They just filed a class action lawsuit. The company's name is trending worldwide. If you don't act now, there won't be anything left to save. Whitmore Tech Headquarters, Main Auditorium. Monday, 11 a.m. All lights on the stage. 3 live broadcast cameras. 40 journalists. Over 1 million people watching online. Brandon Whitmore walks in. Dark suit, loosened tie, heavy shoulders. Red eyes from sleepless nights. The CEO no longer carries his usual air of superiority. Now there is only weariness. And the weight of having been exposed in front of the entire country. In the front row, Naomi, cream blouse, hair down, firm posture. Next to her, Julian, discreet but visibly proud. Brandon steps up to the podium, takes a deep breath, and begins, the truth ran me over, and I deserved it. A whisper runs through the auditorium. The silence is broken only by the constant clicking of cameras. I made the cruelest mistake someone in power can make, judging without listening. Naomi Clarke was humiliated in this company, accused, suspended, and all of it, without a single piece of evidence. But what we didn't know, is that she had already been part of our story long before any of us were ready to see it. He swallows hard. As CEO of Whitmore Tech and on behalf of the entire board, I hereby officially announce the reinstatement of Naomi Clarke with honor, dignity, and recognition. Starting today, she assumes the position of corporate ethics advisor. Immediate reaction. Timid applause turns into a standing ovation. Some employees stand, others cry. Darlene from the cleaning team smiles with shining eyes. Social media erupts. At center stage, Brandon extends a hand to Naomi. She stands, walks slowly, stops in front of him, looks him straight in the eye, and says firmly, "I'm not here because of you, Brandon. I'm here because of the voices that were never heard. And for all the ones who still will be silenced if no one does anything." She shakes his hand, briefly, then walks to the microphone. "I was treated like a suspect, but I am the heir to a legacy you tried to erase. Now that the truth is out of the vault, there's no going back. Whitmore Tech will no longer just be a symbol of success. It will also be a mirror where you'll have to face yourselves." She leaves the stage to a standing ovation. Private boardroom. Naomi seated at her new desk, laptop open, file folder in hand. Julian walks in, gently knocks on the door. She smiles. "If you're here to apologize again, I forgive you for the third time." He laughs shyly. "Actually, I came to ask something else." Pause. "Do you still believe you can change this place from the inside?" Naomi closes the folder, looking at him firmly. "No, I'm sure of it." They look at each other in silence. A new respect forming between them. Something beyond words. Something that maybe over time will bloom. While Naomi organizes her office, Charlotte watches the broadcast on her phone, hiding in the company restroom. Her face disturbed. She dials an unknown number. She did it, but what if what's in that stock fund isn't everything? What if she finds the rest? Voice on the other end. Then we'll have to act. Before it's too late. Charlotte opens an encrypted email. The subject, sealed files level 7KC. She types the password. The screen blinks. Access granted. Inside Whitmore Tech Executive Meeting Room, 6:47 p.m. Night has fallen in Los Angeles. The city through the mirrored windows feels distant. Inside, the silence is thick like fog. Naomi enters. Alone, wearing a light white blazer over a black linen dress. Her posture is steady, but her eyes carry something deeper. Something even public victory couldn't erase. Brandon is already seated, tie loose, shirt sleeves rolled up. On the table, 2 untouched glasses of water. "You asked for this." "Meeting," Naomi says, straight to the point. Brandon nods. "I should have done this before, or maybe never needed to." She sits down. Silence for a few seconds. Brandon takes a deep breath. "I wanted to apologize. But not just for accusing you. It's more than that." She keeps her gaze firm, doesn't flinch. "You didn't accuse me, Brandon. You erased me. You reduced me. You knocked me down and then stepped on me. All of it with one sentence. One order, one silence. The image of the bag being searched. Naomi's trembling eyes, the crowd filming. The badge being torn away. Brandon lowers his head. "At my house, when someone knocked on the gate late at night, my mother used to say, if it's someone like us, it's fine. But if it's different, shut the door." He clenches his fists. "I grew up thinking that being polite to you was enough. That paying your salary already made me fair. I never saw my arrogance as a form of violence." Naomi takes a deep breath. "And the worst part? You didn't even have to hate me to destroy me. All it took was ignoring me." The room is quiet, the sound of the city muffled by the glass walls. A soft but deeply emotional tension fills the air. Brandon stands, takes 2 steps toward the window. I cried yesterday, for the first time in years, when my daughter watched your speech and asked, "Dad, are you the hero or the villain in this story?" Naomi closes her eyes. A single tear falls. Maybe now she's learning. What so many? People never understood that the villain doesn't always scream. Sometimes he just tells someone to clean the room and pretends you were never there. Brandon slowly approaches the table. He extends an envelope to Naomi. Inside, a full copy of the board's files, including the records Charlotte had hidden. This is yours too. Part of what was hidden, part of what I allowed to happen. She takes the envelope, looks him in the eyes. This doesn't erase what you did, but maybe it's the first brick in what you still have a chance to rebuild. Charlotte in the server room, connecting an external hard drive to the internal network. Files named Project. See appear. She types a password. Opens a confidential dossier. Frozen image on the monitor. Diverted funds, Whitmore Foundation, 2005 to 2012. Hidden beneficiary, C. Whitmore. She smiles darkly. All right, Naomi. Let's see if you can handle this next one. Naomi, back in her office, opens the envelope Brandon gave her. Among the documents, one page stands out. A signature. Charlotte Whitmore. Whitmore Tech, Strategic Restructuring Room. Tuesday, 10:12 a.m. On the glass wall, a new silver plaque reads, Department of Inclusion, Ethics and Corporate Equity, Director Naomi Clarke. The room is spacious, filled with natural light. Live plants in the corners. A shelf lined with books on civil rights, leadership, and organizational culture. Naomi, now in a leadership position, sits behind her new desk. Her hair is down, delicate earrings catching the morning light. She wears a wine-colored blazer and holds a folder labeled Project. Roots. Julian walks in, light blue dress shirt, no tie, 2 coffees in hand. I came in without knocking because now I'm the one asking for your permission. She smiles, takes the coffee, but keeps her gaze steady. You've apologized enough, Julian. Time to stop walking on eggshells. He steps closer to the desk. It's not guilt, it's respect. Julian, seeing Naomi leave the building, humiliated. That image never left him. He couldn't ignore it again. Naomi opens the folder and reveals a draft of a new program. Rehiring employees wrongfully terminated, mentorship for young black girls from underserved neighborhoods, anti-racism training for leadership. If they want to protect the company's image, they're going to have to fund real change. Julian studies the plan. This isn't just a project. It's a manifesto. She looks up. It's my answer. Lunch break, company's internal garden. Sounds of footsteps, laughter, clinking glasses. Naomi and Julian sit on a stone bench under a Japanese tree. He looks at her. Do you remember the first time I tried to talk to you, when everything was falling apart? You didn't say anything, she replies, without bitterness. But I wanted to. My courage showed up late. Naomi smiles, though her eyes glisten. Now it's here. And that's what matters. He gently takes her hand. She doesn't pull away. Not out of impulse, but by choice. Naomi at home. Her mother sits in the armchair, head resting to the side. Naomi gently combs her hair. Mom, I did it. I came back. But this time, not to clean the floor, to raise the ceiling. Her mother, even without full awareness, squeezes Naomi's fingers. a silent gesture, but full of presence. At the end of the day, Naomi steps into the Whitmore Tech elevator. The same door that once saw her leave in shame now closes slowly, with her standing tall, a new badge on her chest. Julian steps in at the last second. "Want to ride to the parking lot?" She replies, looking him in the eyes, "Only if we're not going back to the same place as before." He smiles. "It's a different road now. And if you'll let me, I want to walk it with you." As the elevator descends, a notification lights up Naomi's phone. Subject: Urgent leaked documents. Charlotte linked to international fraud. She reads it, closes her eyes. The past isn't finished yet. Whitmore Tech, private vault room, 6:12 a.m. The company is still silent. The hallways are empty, but in here, the past and the present are face to face. Morning light enters in golden beams through the partially open curtain. The vault is open once again, but now for a different reason. Brandon holds a freshly typed page, still damp with ink. Julian signs as a witness. Naomi watches, arms crossed, in silence. Brandon folds the letter, places it inside a white envelope, seals it with wax, then inserts it into the central compartment. Carefully, he turns the metal lock, and the vault closes with a dry clack. A new golden seal is affixed to the door. Brandon turns to Naomi. He speaks firmly, but without arrogance. "If someone is ever falsely accused, let this vault be opened. To remind everyone that a person's worth isn't measured by their job, but by their dignity." Naomi gives a slight nod. There's no more pain in her eyes. The pain became a scar, and the scar is now a medal. Charlotte being escorted out of the building. Reporters waiting. She lowers her head, covered by an expensive coat. Outside, the protesters go silent. Justice has finally arrived in a visible way. Whitmore Tech, main auditorium. 5 p.m. The launch event for Project Roots. Panels with quotes from black leaders. Music playing softly. Young interns smiling. Darlene, the longest-serving janitor, sits in the front row. Wearing a new dress, Naomi walks on stage. The auditorium falls silent. When everything happened to me, many said, "She's just a janitor." But today I ask, who taught you to measure a person by the position they hold and not by the truth they carry? This project exists to ensure that no story is ever silenced again in the break room, in the elevators, or behind the scenes, because dignity isn't a bonus. It's a right, applause, and tears, many, overlooking Los Angeles, 5:48 a.m. the next morning. The sky glows gold over the mountains. Naomi is alone, sitting on the hood of an old car. The wind touzles her loose hair. She wears a large, comfortable hoodie. Julian arrives, carrying 2 coffees. She takes one without saying a word. They simply watch the sunrise together. "Do you still wonder if it was all worth it?" he asks quietly. She takes a deep breath, a slight smile forming. "No, because now I know it was for something bigger than me." She looks ahead, eyes steady, not as a janitor, not as a victim, but as a woman, whole, free, respected, loving again, with wounds time didn't erase, but that now shine like medals. Inside the sealed vault, a sealed letter, strong. Handwriting signed, Brandon Whitmore. "If someone is ever falsely accused, let this vault be opened. To remind everyone that a person's worth isn't measured by their job, but by their dignity. Now tell me, what did you think of this story? Leave a comment with a score from 0 to 10 saying how much it moved you. If you liked it, don't forget to like, share it with someone who needs to see this, and subscribe to the channel to follow the next stories. And before you go, I've picked another story that's even more emotional, one that will definitely touch your heart. Click the video on the screen now, and I'll see you there.